Hey everyone. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to change the steering wheel. Alright, we have this replacement steering wheel. The one in the car is pretty beat up, especially the surround. The trim right here, it's all scratched up. It's a common issue with G37s. But yeah, it just keeps peeling. And then I didn't want to repaint it, sand it down and repaint it. I just went ahead and we're going to replace it. So we'll go ahead and first start by let's unplug the battery. 10mm bolt. We're going to use a deep socket, 10mm. Just kidding. Alright, there wasn't enough room the way it was angled. We'll try a regular 10mm. It should work. The bolt's not too long. So we're gonna undo the ground wire. Just loosen it. Wiggle that off. Alright. So then make sure the airbag doesn't do anything. Okay, so right now we need to pry off these two covers. There's one right here. And I'm trying to get an angle so you guys can see. Right there. So there's another cover right here. So it's right below the paddle shifters when you're steering wheel straight. All right, let's go ahead and pry these off. So there's a little lip right here on the cap, and you just put your screwdriver in there. Be really careful not to mess up the plastic. We'll go ahead and put this in the cup holder. All right, we'll go ahead and do the other side. Same thing. This is just this little gap right here. Just pry it. And both caps look like they're the same. Now we have to undo the Torx bit, T30s. Okay, we're just using this set right here. So it's a star bit with a security, I guess it has the holes in it. So a regular Torx bit won't work. So we're gonna use T30. The 3/8. Just nice and slow. Once it's almost out, I take the ratchet off. I'm gonna rotate it by hand, just so I make sure I don't drop. We're gonna rotate a little. Okay, it dropped inside, but we'll be okay. All right. All right, now to this side. There it is, right there. So you can see it fits right under the paddle shifter. Take that off and just rotate by hand. There, that's what the screw looks like. Put it down on the floorboard. All right, so now the airbag should come out. There. So what I did was after those screws are loose, you can just use your fingers and pull it back, this back. Like that. And what you see is a connector right there. So these are little clips right there. The two little black clips. We need our flathead. Go grab the flathead. All right, rotate this. So we look at it this way, rotate it. Oh, thank you. Rotate it clockwise to about 3 o'clock position. And then you get the most slack right here. And this should be able to pry. This screwdriver might be too small.
This is the scary part, isn't it?
The battery's unhooked. It's fine.
How much was gas?
Expensive. It was packed up there. Everybody was pumping.
You know why, right?
That's Russia. Right?
Yeah. Everybody's worried about gas prices like going up like crazy.
Yeah. All right. So what you want to do is you take a flathead and you, there we go. You see how you push it halfway up? It stops once it's up. There we go. There. So our airbag is out. Okay, so this is what we have so far. All right. So we'll go ahead and take out these. Looks like T30s. So we'll grab the same T30 we had earlier. It feels kind of small. Maybe we'll try a larger one. T40. Yeah, you don't want to strip these. Yep, so T40. So these aren't even that tight. I'm able to just do one-handed to loosen it. T40. So this looks like it just lifts up right here. And the springs back here. All right, we'll go ahead and undo this little clip. And this wire right here is going through this connector, so just push it down out of the way. So these two springs were sitting behind that. So now after, what you do is you lift it up as much as you can, like that, and it should wiggle out. So remove these wires right here as well. There you go. Set it down there, two springs. There, here's the other spring. So these go right here, one on each side. And here's the screw we dropped earlier. So earlier when you undid the airbag, the screw went through here. And it went like that. So it dropped down to the bottom, but you can get it easily after the airbag's removed. So we still have this connector. Go ahead and press this tab right here. There's a tab right there. You press it in, and it should be able to press it in and wiggle out the connector. So all I did was push this little tab in right here, and then you can slide the connector, wiggle it back and forth until it comes off. All right, let's undo this 19mm bolt. Look for a 19, and it's a 1/2 inch drive. We're gonna go ahead and put our extension. Half-inch drive. All right, this is heavy, so I'm gonna have to use 2 hands. All right. So the steering wheel's not locked right now. We'll go ahead, we'll have to lock it. All right, steering wheel doesn't want to lock. All right, we'll just go ahead and try to muzzle it off without. Okay, it's off. All right, let's straighten the wheel. Millimeter nut. Put that aside. All right. So just get tug at it. So there's marks on here. If you look closely, there's a mark right there. That's supposed to line up with that mark up there, pointing up. So we'll just have to make sure we put it in exactly like that. And then feed these wires through that hole. All right, that's our steering wheel. So this steering wheel, it actually already has that frame in here with the springs. So I'll go ahead and just use those. Then we don't even have to swap that out. Feed the wires through. That's what I was afraid of. So this isn't going to be straight. So if we change the steering wheel, here, I'll show you. So it seems like every steering wheel is cut differently on here. So now if you look at it, it's not lining up correctly. Another, and one tab over is too much. So it just doesn't line up correctly. So we can install the steering wheel and then go get an alignment so they can straighten it out. Or we can just change the trim. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, this is the original steering wheel. So if you look at this, there, it drops in that notch right there, but if you look out top, it's actually straight. The steering wheel is straight. And if we lined up the new steering wheel, just like how that one is lined up right now, it doesn't fit correctly. What I think we should do is, this steering wheel's not that bad. We'll just change out the trim and it should look pretty good. Here's the new steering wheel. Yeah, so here's the new steering wheel. No matter where I put it, it's a little crooked. This is one notch to the left. I think we're just gonna swap the trim in the middle. Let's do that. I don't feel like going and get an alignment. Maybe when we're ready for an alignment, if the steering is off or anything, then I'll go ahead and change the steering wheel again. It's not too hard. All right, let's. Why am I trying to make it look brand new? Because it's fun having a car that looks new. Why, you don't like new cars?
I love the smell.
You like new car smell?
I like the smell of cars.
Yeah.
And how soft the furniture is.
Yeah.
I like that car smell.
It's an old, what, that car right there? Old car smell.
No, I'm pointing at the, look, I'm pointing at that, look,
What?
look, I'm pointing at that hanging.
Oh, the new car. Okay, so to remove this trim, first we have to remove this back panel right here. And all it is it looks like it's 4 clips. One up there, there, and there one, and over here. Yeah, so it's coming, sliding right off. Back panel off. Now we have access to this control. And there's just a whole bunch of little screws holding it. I believe all we need is these 3 screws undone, because all the new switches have everything else we need, and we don't need to take apart each. We don't need to take apart each of these switches. So it is Phillips screws, 3 of them. So this angle is kind of weird. All right. One screw. Two and 3. Nope. So just 3 screws and this whole panel comes off. We're not going to change any of the switches or anything, but this trim is really beat up. Look how scratched up it is. The steering wheel itself still looks pretty good. So we'll just mount here. Set that aside. New steering wheel. All right, so this, we still have to remove that inside. T40. So this just basically holds the spring in place. It's not torqued very much. I was able to undo it with just one hand. All right, same thing as we did earlier. Lift it up, take these 2 screws out. The springs on the bottom. We can take out the springs now, just so it's out of the way. Spring. Other spring. And well, remember earlier we had to push this up so it's out of that notch down there. And then you can maneuver it. You push this portion to the back of the steering wheel and bottom to the front. Make sure we don't scratch our new front plate, so really carefully. I forgot to undo that wire earlier. Okay. All right. Push these tabs. 4 of them. Just go back and forth so you don't break anything. Tabs out. I put a towel down so it doesn't scratch up the new face. Three screws. Here's the wheel that's in better condition, but it just doesn't line up correctly. And we're going to use the old steering wheel. Pop it in place, see how it looks. Flip it over. Phillips screws. I'm going to reuse the same exact screws that came with the new plate, because the screws went into, these are the same screws that came out of the new faceplate. Okay, well, while we're out here, I'm going to go ahead and use, we'll put this piece here. So the back piece, let's use the new one, might as well. So, reverse the order that you removed it. So there's little four pins that line up. If you look closely, there's 4 little pins, plastic pins. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's next to those clips you pushed earlier. And once they're lined up, you can snap this in place. There we go. Hurry snap. There. And everything is back together. We'll go ahead and put the horn button back in. So this is the new one. I'm gonna keep the new one without a new. So we'll keep the same horn that we had in this car. All right. So these are the springs and the horn. Okay. Let's put the springs in. 2 springs. 1 right there. The angle's kind of tricky to see, but basically the springs are both on there. Go ahead and put the top in first. Make sure you don't scratch the new faceplate you just got. All right. Make sure everything lines up. Once everything's kind of lined up, press the spring down so it falls into the notches correctly. Okay. Make sure it goes into that notch right there. And the 2 screws, the 40 millimeter, or 40, the T40. Sorry. And I always recommend just hand tightening it first. You don't want to strip anything, so if you're hand tightening it, you can feel if it goes in cross-threaded. I always rotate the opposite way first, make sure it drops in, and then I turn clockwise to tighten it. And these were not tight at all. You keep them pretty loose, so I'll just, there's probably torque specs on it, but I'll just do it just a little bit. There we go. All right, so that's the horn. We'll go ahead and put loop this wiring back into place. Plug that. Okay. We're gonna go back to the car, put this in. All right, so we have the old steering wheel, new panel in the front. Wire the airbag through, wires through. Make sure the wires exit right through the bottom middle. Once everything's lined up, put your steering wheel on. Loop the wires under that clip on the bottom. You can go ahead and clip this gray connector back in place. All right, it clicked. All right, let's bolt it in. Make sure this is on really good. I'm going to put more leverage on it. Okay. All right, now it's ready for the airbag. This is an airbag. When the electricity goes in here, it explodes into a big balloon. It punches you in your face if you get in a car accident.
So the steering wheel punches you?
Big bag pops out.
Oh.
Yeah.
But how?
If the sensors up front.
There's that in front of it.
This breaks open. It splits.
Why?
Why?
Go back together?
Not after it explodes? No. So I have to be really careful, make sure this doesn't explode in my face. All right, you pop this in. Push those black pins in, and done. We'll go ahead and slide the airbag back in. All right. Now, put the T30 screws back in. Just my other tool. Okay. All right. put it in by hand again. It's really difficult to see here. All right. That wasn't. Can you hold this for me, baby?
Yeah, let me just go put my
Okay.
down.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it. My helper. Hi, helper. My helper's gonna hold the camera while I install these screws. I don't want to drop the screw. Did you just hit Mom's car?
I hit the tire. And I am stuck now.
All right, well, almost done. But we just need those 2 screws and then we're good. Then we'll plug the battery back in and go for a test drive. Make sure the steering wheel's straight. But it looks much better. Okay, here, hold this. And point to this hole right here. Here, let's go back a little. You see this hole down here? Yeah. You can control it, remember? Other way up. To the right. There you go. Okay.